Welcome, BBCers, to episode number 108 of the Broken by Concept #1 solo queue League of Legends podcast in the world. I'm Nathan Mott. I help people get better at jungling. This is Coach Curtis. He helps people get better at the middle of the map, you know, with mage champs and all that sort of stuff and assassins and cool stuff. First topic here, Curtis. We had a conversation earlier this week, Curtis. This is the theme, the starting theme, wake up calls.
Wake up calls.
And it's funny how you talked about a story about your wake up call this week. And then when I was doing my reviews this week, just by coincidence, there needed to be a lot of wake up calls going. And I literally used that term. I probably never really used that term recently. And I literally just I had this one particular client, Diamond, EU West. We call him Sammy D. We actually have some names of some really bad plays in Soul 2. They call it like the Sammy D gank and stuff like that because it's just like the worst gank. Like,
that's not passive aggressive at all, is it?
No, it's incredibly passive aggressive. But he can take it. Sammy D can take it. It's like, you know, he ganks like the huge wave that he's like, you know, they're pushed up, but he's not thinking about the size of the wave and he ganks it and then he gets his entire team killed and stuff like that. Anyways, I mean, he's been doing similar to that, but he was just doing some low-ass quality ganks mid.
Okay.
And I actually made a Soul 2 article about it, and I literally, you know, caught it out. And it was funny because there was like 3 other reviews that day as well with the same problem of just ganking full HP mid laners leaning towards the side of their jungler. You know, it's just like really sloppy. He's Diamond, right, in the US, and he knows this. He knows it's bad. But, you know, there's like this narrative where the typical narrative, this is what has been a common theme of our review sessions this week is I finish my jungle camps, my early clear, so I have to gank something or we're going to lose the game or something. That's the narrative, right?
Yep.
And yeah, just really low quality games. And then the next day he said, you know, thanks. That was a good wake up call. You know, it's like I have to just go back to playing on waves. What is good? Really basic fundamentals of the game. What's a good gank? What's a bad gank? Right?
Yep.
So, you know, I had a couple of other review sessions as well, just like, you know, stuff that we've gone over before. It's like, come on, like, you know, wake up, guys. Let's go. Like stuff, you know,
I think, you know, just to jump in here.
Yeah.
When you play a lot of League, it's very easy to become completely unaware of what exactly is happening in your journey because you're so just delusional about what you're seeing what you want to see, right? You see what you want to see. A great example, I've got 2 really great examples of this just by chance. I've got a bunch of Z players in the MLA right now and I overheard them, we're just kind of chilling in a call and they were talking about watching Z streamers and they were talking about, I think it was Kat and someone else talking about their favorite Z streamers to watch. And they were talking about how they used to watch, I think, Laceration. And they were saying how I just don't enjoy watching Laceration anymore because he misses all of his triple shuriken combos and then proceeds to complain about how bad the champion is. But from the outside looking in, because we're not, you know, attached to his climb or we don't have all the member baggage, we're just looking at it for what it is. This has nothing to do with your setup or the champion or anything. You're just missing your WEQ combos. You're just missing your triple shuriken.
Something that he would be like, I'm a Z player. That's my identity.
Or if he would have reviewed someone else's, he would be probably the first person to call it out.
Right.
Like, dude, you're not hitting it. But he is not seeing, he's coming in with the lens that Z is a shit champion. Therefore, this is the reason why I'm losing games. And a lot of these one tricks specifically, and I think I spoke about this in the last episode, the danger of only playing one champion.
Because you see what you want to see. Again,
you see what you want to see. You want to believe that your champion sucks because it makes you feel better about yourself.
It's ego protection at the end of the day, isn't it?
It's all ego protection. Yeah, the brain, we are very good at lying to ourselves. Very, very good at lying to ourselves. And these toxic narratives, this is actually a topic that I was going to talk about today that really comes into this is kind of like the similar topic. I had a client that said to me, he said, I am now in hindsight, after that wake up call basically that you gave me, I am actually shocked at how well I can disguise toxic narratives through lying to myself. Like he was just shocked. Like I'm like, knowing what I know now, just what I've been through over the past few weeks and past month, I'm actually now kind of, you know, borderline scared about like, how can my brain even do this? We're not even aware of it. You know, we're not even aware of what our brain can do in these situations because again, we want to see what we want to see, and our ego is incredibly good at protecting ourselves.
That moment when he knew that was like a huge impact, like he probably had a physical reaction to that, right? It's like, whoa.
Yep.
That's how I've been lying to myself for a month.
Yep. I got a guy, another client right now, Nathan. You're going to love this one. You know, when you get a client and they have this massive drop in LP, right? So this guy came to me and said, Curtis, I've dropped from Platinum 1 all the way to P4. And I'm on demotion shield. I'm about to go to gold. I'm about to go to gold 1.
Well, love it.
Right? When you get this, Nathan,
yeah,
you're automatically like, you're like just ready, because there's obviously some massive thing going wrong, right? Like
you just bring up a VOD and I can tell you in 2 seconds.
You're right. There has to be something massively wrong. So my first questions are generally like, okay, are you playing in 3 blocks?
Yeah.
Are you reviewing your games? Are you sticking to your champ pool? You know,
all the really foundational things. That's like the first questions you ask.
Right. So this guy was doing all of that.
Yep.
Right?
So tick, 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 tick.
Tick, 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 tick on his box. And I'm like, interesting. Okay. Were you focusing hardcore on the LP when you were close to default? No. And so I went all these questions. I was actually starting to get kind of interesting, because usually I've done so many of these things. Like I kind of really know exactly what to look for. And he actually caught me off guard. I'm like, okay, this might be a little bit of a unique case, right? I'm like, okay, given that you've said yes to all this, why don't we just get into the review and let's take a look at it? Katarina one trick this guy is, right? He climbed from P4 to P1 before, and this was largely during that time when Divine Sunderer at Katarina was like a really big thing. And what actually happened, I believe, I said, you were never a Platinum 1 Katarina player. What actually happened is that your climb with Katarina, because he's actually kind of new to Platinum as well, your climb with Katarina to P1 coincided with the buff to that really good build at that time, the 80 Katarina build with the Divine Sunderer, alongside just having a metric ton of confidence and getting a lot of lucky games. Like you can actually just get lucky, right? You can have a series of lucky games. So I predicted that you're actually probably a Platinum 3, high Plat 3 player potentially. And that Divine Sunderer push you up again. A few lucky games just push you up again. And you just scrape bottom of P1, right? So now the way the system works is obviously Divine Sunderer got nerfed. You're doing a different build. Your confidence gets shattered a little bit. You're losing again. You're actually getting the flip side of the auto wins. You're getting the auto losses. So the system calibrated, and now you're actually kind of below your rank now because you're playing with low confidence.
Yep.
And I kind of gave him this narrative, like that actually makes perfect sense. And we got into the review, right? Looking at his behavior. And straight up, the first play that happened, essentially, he had a winning side bot side, losing side top side. And no, there was a play where the enemy jungle showed on Dragon bot side. His jungle was top side. Heavy trading melee versus melee match up top. The easiest split map scenario that you will ever get.
It's like the perfect situation.
It's like perfect situation for Katarina. Just go top.
You just always win those games.
Just win them. It's just a free win. Just go top, kill the top laner. Snowballing matchups like Aurelia versus Aatrox or whatever it was. You're just going to win the game. Then he like dicks around trying to like defend Dragon by himself with like the bot lane kind of like, it was the shittest play, right? And I'm like, well, that's it. There's nothing fancy about this. He had 0 win con assessment. There was no thinking about strong members, just completely missing Katarina basics.
Yeah, just literally, Dragon's up, I should go defend.
Well, he's just not thinking. It's just going with the flow, right? And my point here being, there's a lot here you can unpack. Like, you can get LP many different ways. There is such thing as you get lucky, and I don't want to use the term Elo inflation, but there are times where we might be higher than we would have otherwise given a certain item buff, whatever. But more importantly, he was completely delusional. He was genuinely gobsmacked. He's like, I just have no idea what's going wrong in my games, right? And we become blindsided. We become blindsided to what's actually happening in our games. And sometimes you just need that objective view. And as a reality check, he actually messaged me recently saying, thank you so much. I'm feeling way more confident. I'm feeling great now. He's killing it.
Because he also, it sounds like he accepted. That's the hard thing. He could have easily not accepted. He could have been like, oh, Curtis, it's like, yeah, that sounds good, but I think I'm Plat 1. Like I was dominating those games.
He did. That's a good thing about that client. He did accept that, like, okay,
it's like, okay, I actually am
probably P4, P3, whatever.
That's my level of play.
And that's the only reason he come out of it.
That is correct. That's the only reason you ever will, because other than that,
you're never going to
come out, because guess what? Every single fault. It's like if I'm losing in Plat 3, Plat 4, for some reason, and I was a Plat 1 player 2 weeks ago, it must just be unlucky. My teammates must suck. I must just be on this unlucky streak.
100%. Just following on from this, tying back to the calling calling people out, a wake up call in a way, right? Wake up call.
That's the theme.
The theme. I was finishing up my games last night in the MLA, and Felipe actually said a comment. He said, because I said something about how, I haven't got many games on Ari. I'm learning Ari, and I'm missing all these charms, and I'm losing games because I'm missing charms and stuff, right? And he said, Curtis, just being like, I'm just trying to make sure you're like, I'm just want to hold you accountable. Is this an excuse, or like, is this like, you sound like you're a little bit delusional here? Like, are you using this as an excuse to the reason why you're losing games? Or is this genuinely the case, right?
So the charm thing, like
what he was basically saying, Curtis, from the outside, it can seem like you're using this as like an excuse, or you're giving yourself permission to like lose in a way or something. And he forced me to articulate what is it why am I losing games, right? And that process of simply just like that question, it just got me thinking. I'm like, oh, does he have a point, right? So I just like started to say out loud like what my thoughts are, why I'm losing games, articulate what just happened in my block of games that day. And that process of actually just like kind of someone calling you out in a way and giving you that kind of wake up call and forcing you to kind of go in your mind and really like lay it out was very helpful for me. Even though I know exactly why I'm losing, there's that question. That question could easily save me in another situation where I am being delusional, or could save me in the future. Or that's like similar to the question you answered me, like, why I'm dying to level 3 ganks, all this stuff in that, we've spoken about that story many times. My point being is, I think a toolkit that I'm actually thinking of using moving forward, if I'm ever stuck or feel like I'm plateaued or I'm losing games, I should brute force in a way. We could like brute force waking ourselves up by asking ourselves very challenging questions like, is this just bullshit, Curtis? Like, are you just making it? Is this like, are you just creating an excuse for yourself to lose games? Like, is this genuinely true? Like, just be brutally honest.
Like, double check, triple check.
Yeah, triple check. Like, is this really the case, Curtis? So like, go over.
This is what I think, and it's like, okay, I need to test it. I need to
like look in the VODs. It's like, is this genuinely what's happening?
It's like, how about I do the exercise where I don't look at any charm usage this game and just go back to the fundamentals.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Am I dying on level 3 ganks?
Exactly.
Am I playing off my teammates, resets? Am I playing strong side, weak side?
Yeah, is it really what you think it is?
Because that is such a sexy narrative to be like, oh, I lose this game, especially since the way the game will go. Like, let's say you get to mid-game fights as Ari, where I assume that this is where you're missing the charms, right?
Oh, it's everywhere, actually.
Okay, even early game
really
and everything.
Bad, yeah.
I guess that could be
I remember distinctly yesterday,
yeah.
Like I told you that at the gym, there was one where like Rengar ganked me level 5.
Yeah.
And like he like roots the target in front of my face and I just don't charm. And we just got that, because if we got that kill, the game would be out of control.
Yeah.
The game's just different. It's level 5 gank. And he just flamed me. I'm like, that makes sense, like. And the one you saw in that game the other day where the Callisto over the wall, that was not losing me the game, but like
that made the game
really bad decisions.
Yeah,
like that's a trend. And there was another game in that block as well, point blank Viego. If I kill the jungler, I should never miss it. Again, game would have been very different. Now it's not the only thing. There's things like I've noticed I'm not taking control of lane assignments. I lost a game yesterday because of a lane assignment, and I wasn't on the right side of the map.
That's because you've gone deep and you've asked the question.
I've asked the question. Yeah, I'm going into the details.
That's what I'm saying. That is such a sexy narrative. Like, I'm missing something. It's a great learning objective. I think that's something you're focused on. I think it's important, but. Yeah, that's the dangerous thing is saying that as well. It's like that the sentence I view. It's like, I am losing every game solely because I can't hit Ari Charm. That's the dangerous thing versus
exactly.
Ari Charm is a huge flaw in my gameplay. I need to work on that.
Spot on.
But there's still lots of things. I'm not playing perfect League of Legends.
Because like I think when I say that, my Ari Charms are losing me games, I know that it's not the only thing that I'm doing wrong, but I know that it's like a fundamental that I need to get down pat. It's like, it's just a priority. It's like, if I can't land my charms,
what's the point?
What's the fucking point of playing Ari? My champ is literally predicated on landing my charm.
That's right.
So like when I say that, but I can see from the outside, from Felipe's perspective, him calling me out, it's like a great wake up call. It's like, fuck, I really got to be on top of that. I got to make sure that I'm still looking at the game holistically. And how impactful is this really? Like, me missing this charm, is this really the reason? Or is it just the wave states in general? Is it me not being aware of my jungler's location? Is it, to me, whatever it might be? And I think that for all of us here, if you are losing a lot of games and you think you know what it is, it's good to double check, triple check what it is.
Yeah, having people Having people,
that's the power of community
and calling you out is really important because it really hurts to admit that you're wrong, especially when you're so convinced. If you've been telling yourself,
oh yeah,
that RE Charms is the only reason I'm losing games for 4 or 5 days,
and then you're
think
wrong.
about how, and then someone says, I don't think that's the case, Curtis. Think about how much of the ends of the earth you will defend your point.
Yeah, because it'd feel so painful, right? My ego would.
You look like an idiot.
100%.
It's like Coach Curtis can't even be real with himself.
Yep, 100%. The ego would be. It would be so hard for me in that situation to admit that I'm wrong. Totally agree. And what I said, I think I said, yeah, I believe it is, but I said all these other reasons as well in the moment. I know it's not the only reason. There's other things as well. But what I do rather right now, I don't know if you do this, when I review my games, I will just basically say like, these are like the core things that I did. Like I'll skim over it. I'm like, these are the main things that contributed to that game state. Like I need to do that for my peace of mind. I don't know about you. Like I need to know specifically how I contributed to that game. Like what was it that really screwed my team this game?
Before you move on to the next game.
Yeah, before I move on. Like it's hard for me. I can't move on really without knowing what it is that I did wrong. Like I don't have to do a super thorough review, but I need to at least at minimum know what it is that I did, like the core pivotal decisions that screwed my team. Do you do like in Sol 2 when you're in the Sol 2, like after when you're streaming your solo queue games?
Yeah, I mean sometimes I don't really. Some games there's not games that I'll really review, but yeah, I mean I will have an idea. I don't know if it's the role that I play or jungle specifically, and the way I think my play style is really easy to know.
Right, it's very simple.
For example, that Volibear game that I played yesterday, it's like, I invade, I get the advantage over Karthus, and then I smite the crab. And then he just takes it away because I wasn't patient. And then I bait my team for a triple kill. Like the game
right,
is,
it's just so simple.
It's really
you don't
easy
need
stuff.
to go over it.
I don't even need to review that. Like
it says you already know what
because you know what I have? I have like, because I'm playing Volibear, you drop off like a truck, right?
Yeah.
I have the next 15 minutes of the game. I came up with a solution in that game during the game because the game was 100% over.
Right. I know what you mean.
Yeah. That's not a game like I guess you could say that like I gave up, but that game was 100%. I was like 3 levels behind Karthus. Like,
yeah, that's very interesting because like comparing that with one of the most like I had it was a game where like I had 2 losing sides but me and Yi was really strong and like I was playing Ari with a Yi jungle and we're in I think we set up ganks. I think we killed the Seraphine mid like 2 or 3 times and I knew the game had to be won through me and Yi. We did like a classic mid to bot play. Our bot lane lost the tower, whatever. And the enemy bot lane swapped mid. And I knew in this moment that I had to be topside for the rift. We needed to contest rift and me and Yi needed to play together. And like everything had to be formed. Synced with me and Yi.
Resets, item spikes, everything.
Right? And then
ults.
Yes, everything. And then what happened is that the GP already started going top and I hesitated and I just went bot to catch a wave. That one moment there where I went bot and then GP went top instead of me. Exploded the game because then what happened, there was a 3v3 top side and there was GP there instead of me. And if I'm there at that skirmish,
clean up, you win the game.
We win.
Yep.
Whether or not we win the game, but the game is like, we have a win con. After that, they lost that 3v3. I'm sitting there bot. I know at that moment, the game's over. I knew in that moment, it's like, we have no win con anymore. And it's not easy to spot that though, because it's like, I didn't die. Right? It's not like I died.
Nope.
It's not like I'm even losing farm.
Yep.
Like I'm not doing anything bad, but I'm missing a huge opportunity.
That's the difference. Those again, we say that we always give recommended advice. It's like, okay, when you start reviewing, you start learning how to improve, focus on the mistakes and the deaths, play the loser's game.
Yep.
That's a winner's game scenario.
That's a winner's game scenario, yeah.
But that's the difference in high elo.
Yeah, that's the difference. We're not just looking at deaths anymore.
We've got to be looking at like
missed opportunities.
That's right.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about in terms of wake up calls, this is sort of just like a rant for Diamond players. Diamond players are very, it's actually a weird point. Like they're pretty good at the game. They're a very high percentage base, right? They have a pretty good knowledge of the game, I'd say most of the time. They're very passionate about the way that they talk the game and they have like pretty set narratives, good or bad, whatever. But a lot of it that I always say, it's like, for example, the Sam, it's like, this is stuff you could review anyone's games. Like a lot of my diamond players in Solitude, they could review other people's games, but they can't review their own because, again, their ego's really high. And it's like they could point out these mistakes, but that's why someone else needs to be there to give a wake up call. And it's just like this specific section, like diamond players, master players. I mean, I don't really have that many like challenger clients and stuff like that, but the ones that I do have, they're pretty self-aware. Yeah, just a little bit of rant.
You're saying that a lot of diamond players, they're not diamond purely because that's their level of like that's their understanding of the game. No. It's like they struggle to teach themselves.
That's right.
Because their ego is in the way.
Yes.
Right.
And they'll completely play 10 games and have no idea. Like they have an idea why they're losing games, but it's the exact same problem as you. They think it's like because of something in their gameplay, but it's like really like
something else.
A really pathetic gank. Yeah, basic fundamentals.
Yeah, I'll be honest. For me, anyway, in the MLA, I would say that's not really the case for most diamond players. I can see that there are examples of that. But for at least in the MLA, I would say that's not the most common reason. I would say genuinely, majority of people in Diamond in the MLA are there because they struggle they don't actually understand stuff. Straight up. Like they win cons. Like they don't know what their role in the game is to win this game. They don't know what they need to do in this game to win.
I'd say it's definitely an element as well.
I'm saying just talking majority. Like most, like especially that D2 to master, they genuinely don't understand like win cons. It's just win cons. It's just such a massive.
You harp on that a lot.
That's just it, and it's a long slog. It's actually the one thing that I right now, if we're talking coaching learning objectives, I am terrible at teaching win conditions. Just like but I can explain the win con in this one game very well and get them to understand it this game. But when I'm not there,
applying a general
getting them
concepts.
to learn win condition assessment when I'm not there.
Got it.
That's something that it's something that I need to get better at.
That's really rough, dude. I mean,
and I'm trying to give people a process, and that's where I talk about the reverse engineering technique.
Yes, that's right. You need to ask. It's all about asking high quality questions.
Having a hypothesis, having a crack, playing with intensity, using your lull states. Like it's all this stuff, but it's not clean. Like
no, it's not. It's really it's a lot of experiment. You got to fuck up a lot, dude. I mean, if I think about the way I learn win conditions. I consume testing, no content. I just test and ask high quality questions. Like every time a game went bad and I played through something, the first default question is, what happened if I did the opposite? No, if I did the opposite, if I did the complete opposite of what I did.
But that's what you did.
Visualize, yeah.
I don't think I did it like that for me. Because I remember I said for me as well, like when I learned Orianna, right? Yeah. When I learned Orianna, there was zero content. Like I literally taught myself Orianna from scratch. Like dead set. I didn't watch a single video. I didn't watch a single streamer. I didn't even have inspiration from another Orianna player. I picked Orianna one day in season 3 or whatever it was, season 4. I'm like, this is cool and I'm going to learn it. Everything I know now about Orianna is purely 110% self-taught. Yeah. Not a single influence on my Orianna. The small wins mindset with trades, locking the enemy in lane. These are the things I felt. These are the things that feel good for me when I play Orianna through testing and learning, right? And when it comes to like understanding my role and what I need to do as Orianna, that's just through like asking, okay, what did I do here? What felt good? Like what felt really high impact and what made me feel like I'm low impact? And just basically running through alternatives. If I were to use my ball in this way in this team fight, right? Like this person said ult this person, or just have my ball sitting here. And that's how I developed the whole thing about having the ball just sitting there.
Yeah.
And they forget about the ball in the team fight and they run over it. There's all this stuff like that. Like I just learned through just testing and learning and having low value Rs and just really bad stuff. I actually this is dead set, I swear on my life. Back when we went to a LAN in MCNet in Melbourne, where it was our very, very first, I don't know if even you were there. I don't even know if you played on it.
I'm pretty sure I was camping then. I remember what we were talking about. You're talking about end of 2012.
And it was Quick was there. Were you
I was not there, no.
So I have this extremely painful experience with Orianna.
It's so crazy you can
I can remember this vividly. And I even remember where it is on the map. I remember exactly what the play was. So and I remember how pissed off I was.
Yeah.
It was a game. We were versing a full Chinese team. Yeah. And I was really intimidated, really scared because like at the time, like Like I just didn't. You didn't see people in real life, right? And then, like the stereotype back then was like the full Chinese team. Oh my god, they're gonna be so good.
It's like Uzi, RNG.
Like the narrative
at
the time was like the Chinese players in the world were like really good, right? And it wasn't the final. It was like the semifinal or something like that. It was a quarterfinal, semifinal. And this was for money at the time, right? And I remember it was Quick and those people on the team. Anyway, we were getting shit on the whole time, but then we like started to turn it back and we're scaling. We had this scaling competition. We were on blue side and we're at the tower with the inhibitor in mid, and they're coming in and they were sieging into us. And I'm like, this is it. Like, I can make my big play.
Yeah.
I flash QR. They all like,
disperse.
it misses everyone. They disperse. And then I die. I instantly die because I have no flash.
Yeah.
And then we lose the game off of it. And I remember thinking to myself, we would have won this game if I just never used my flash aggressively and just let them come into us and I just hold my R.
Yeah.
That lesson, I remember vividly, that lesson, going home on the train, the whole experience, I remember I would never forget. That was like one of the big turning points for me with like learning how to like really use my R on Orianna and never flash queuing Ring ever again. That's just the worst thing you could possibly do in Orianna. Yeah. And like, you just have these experiences that like, and that's where, think about that. It was a painful experience.
Pain plus reflection equals progress.
So I didn't watch a video on that.
No.
Right?
No.
It was learning and reflecting after that. What would I have done differently?
High quality questions.
High quality questions.
What you just described there, that's champ mastery. Like the pursuit of champion mastering League of Legends is so fucking fun, man.
It is fun. It is fun.
Like get into those details. I don't even play Orianna. I don't even play mid. I don't give a fuck about Orianna, right? Yeah. But it gets me so excited. Like perfecting the ball and think about. I also love thinking about the psychology.
Like
around how people interact with your
about
champion.
The ball and there's all little details. Yeah. And it's like when you play a lot of a champ, there's like, you don't know what you don't know. There's psychology. I think you're spot on this. It's the psychological element.
You know how people think about your champion.
So true. Like there's honestly right now, there's only 2 champs in my pool that I have that. It's my Victor and my Cassio. When I'm going in a Victor Cassio, I just know exactly what I'm doing at all periods in time. And when I play Ari, even though Ari's like a better champ in certain situations, I'm just shit at it. I don't know how to think and how they're thinking. And
you don't know how they're going to
I don't know how they're going to react to me.
They're ready to play around you.
And I just need to get, like, that's why you need hundreds of games when you're champ. You just
That's
need
right. There's
hundreds
no
of games.
other way around it, guys.
Like, there's just other levels to champ mastery. Yeah, once you feel it, once you really feel that, you don't go back. As in, like, you don't forget it. You will never you can always go back. So for example, you were to go back to champs, like let's say you stopped playing Rek'Sai, right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yep.
And you came back to him like 6 months later, it would be so easy for you. It'd be so quick because it's just there. It's just embedded.
Yep.
It's just all there.
Yep.
Like 1 or 2 games, you just back into it.
The abilities are the same. You might have to adjust to a build or something like that because of the meta and maybe some damage. But
so cool.
Again, the way you interact on the map, win condition, how to win a game, it's all still the same.
I want to roast Ting here. This is hilarious. I get some questionable questions in the MLA sometimes. And this is one that I've seen crop up a few times, and Ting is guilty of this, I would say. Looking for champions that don't exist.
I love this topic.
Like he asked this question this morning. And he got memed by another MLA member, which is hilarious.
Man.
He was basically saying, okay, I want an AD champ that's blindable, that has long range CC and burst or something. It was something ridiculous. It was like every and mobility. It was like everything in one. And I remember thinking, my response was Ting. You're looking for something that doesn't exist. And then Jason, another MLA member, like replied to it and then wrote like this meme that said, Curtis, I'm looking for an AP hybrid, mobile, long range, CC, burst oriented, scaling.
Invulnerable.
Pick. And then I just went on that. It has to be a Yordle as well. And like, this is bullying Ting, but like,
no, you
gotta roast him sometimes because
ridiculous.
It's just like, the game is designed in a way where every champ has weaknesses.
There's strengths and weaknesses.
There's strengths and weaknesses. You suck it up, dude. You're not gonna be able to blind pick the perfect champ every game.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a shitty...
If it was, everyone would be playing. You can win. Why is there, it's interesting. It's like, why is there challenger players with like a lot of champs? Why is that? How about maybe they're just better at playing the strengths and better at not playing into the weaknesses of that champion than someone else. Like these are just really basic questions to ask, right? Like, there is champions that obviously, cap out. You don't see barely any challenger players for that. And the champion maybe you could say is, not very good. But when you say that, there's like a mode in Mortal Kombat where you could like create your character. And I remember like I would have you could like play that character in like the normal mode, and like my friends would come over, they'll play the normal characters.
You play your character.
And I just obliterate them. It's because I have everything that's overpowered, right? And there's just no competition. It's not, it actually was like people stopped playing with me.
Oh, right.
Yeah. They said, Nathan, let's not play Mortal Kombat. Like I probably was just super insecure or something like that. I was like, I just got to beat these people. Because they were better than me at the game or something. So I played that. That's what it reminds me of. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And I just think that like you got to come to terms that, that's why you got to have, in my opinion, especially if you're climbing like Master GM Plus, like it's good to have multiple champs in your pool that fit differing situations. But you're never going to have a perfect game. No matter how good, like you're going to have games where your champs is just really hard to play. That's going to happen.
That's right. And it's so important to have the champ mastery and learn how to win those games, because you can win those games. Yeah. The games that I always say that the games that should look impossible to win, and you win those games, that just unlocks just new like neurons in your brain or something. Because I've done it so many times for me as Rex. Like on paper, this is dodge. Like you dodge this game. And I've played them out, and I lose most of them. But that one time that you do, and you just play. Those are games you can't make.
You can't make a single
mistake.
You got to know exactly what you're doing every single period of the game.
That builds like this confidence with the champion, and then you think it's like playing with weights. If I get these released, I play a normal game with like okay champs or my champ's good.
Take the ankle weights off. Like,
that's right. You're just running, sprinting.
Yeah.
So that's what people always, again, it's a lack of respect for champ mastery, honestly, when people ask those type of questions.
Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. And Ting, give you...
I love it.
Give you a bit of a reality check.
Come on, wake up, call Ting. Wake up, Ting. Doesn't exist.
Last thing I wanted to talk about here for me, last topic for me anyway, is I've had a slew of people having the exact same response to me, basically saying, Curtis, ever since I started to play a champ that I enjoy, I'm looking at mistakes in such a differing lens. So for example, this guy who really loves Akshan, he's like, I would go in, completely fuck my E up, and rather than feeling terrible about myself and beating myself up and not wanting to play the champ, I'm excited to get into the review and be like, oh yeah, that's what I would do next time. That's when I should E, and that's how I should use it. That was a bad E. But they're excited to the review. They're actually excited to look at what they could have done better. And this is why I always say you got to love your champion. But the amount of people that have written to me, DM, saying, Curtis, your advice changed my league experience. I can now review my mistakes without wanting to, quit the game. You got to love your champion.
Got to love your champion, man.
When shit hits the fan,
guess the first thing you're thinking.
You're not going to want to get in the details, are you?
Nope.
Because you don't enjoy the champion.
Yep. You're not going to. Why would you even bother getting into the details if you're like, I hate playing this champ. I hate playing the game. Like, what's the point? The only reason I continue on Rek'Sai, even though that, I literally had a comment saying, I saw it on one of my socials or someone that I play with someone said, why does Nathan Mott play the worst champ in the game, right? And it's like, because I fucking love the champion, dude, like it's so good. I don't even think the champ is the worst champ in the game, but like, people, they don't see it.
But you
often.
enjoy that style. It's what clicks with you.
And I get results with it because I love it.
Because you love it.
And I'm able to improve at the game and the champion because I love it. Yep. And as you said, there's next levels with champions that people just don't think about. They don't push themselves. There's always a next level with your champion.
Just a bit of a reminder, that one there.
You got to love your champion. I love that message. I'll repeat that over and over again.
So you want to talk about the topic?
No. So we got one more. Okay. So I got I'll say anonymous DM from a Soul2 member. He said he is embarrassed to come to review sessions. I don't know if you experienced this, because he's making the same mistakes over and over again, and he's just embarrassed. He's like, what's the point of me going to a review session because I'm making the same mistakes over and over again. So this is my response. So I want to get your response. I said, okay. Step number one, it's great that you're knowing that these are the mistakes. This is something we've talked about in the review and you're still making these mistakes, right? That's a good problem to have. What is, you really got to accept, and you've got to these are the moments where you got to dig in. Like you got some demons here or some shit, you know, like you've got to attack, go head on. It's like, why the fuck am I making the same mistake over? There's going to be some psychological thing. It's like, are we just completely like, you've got to dig deep here and have honest conversations with yourself when you're making the same mistake. It's like for anything. Like let's say if you're at a workplace or something, let's say, I don't know, what's an example for McDonald's? Do you have any employees that you worked with that made the same mistake over and over again, or you did it experienced?
Making the same mistake at McDonald's.
Or is it too processed thing? It's too simple. Maybe it's
there was just people that were really lazy.
Okay, well maybe that could be it, right? Yeah. But then I guess that person probably doesn't care about the you know, compared to like this guy.
No, but that's actually a genuine reason though, even in league.
Yeah, even in league because they're lazy, right? Yep. That could be it. And you've got to have an honest conversation with yourself, like because you should be embarrassed making the same mistake over and over again because we've talked about this 100 times. Something's going on here. And, you know, you could come to a review session. Maybe we can come in and I can give you some ideas based on some experience. Sure. But you're going to have to come up with the answer yourself. I'm not playing the game for you, you know? So I basically said to him that, it's good that you're embarrassed because that means you care. I don't think those McDonald's workers were embarrassed about making the same mistake over and over again. They just didn't care. But yeah, you need to figure this out. You just do. Like it's a personal journey. That's why I say legal improvement is such a personal, private journey, you know, like, you know, he could come to the review session and I guess, you know, it is embarrassing. It's like, cause when they have review sessions, they're pretty like, you know, other members can join and then it's like, all right, we're having this conversation. He's making the same basic mistake over and over again. Like, you know, that is embarrassing, I guess. I get to that point, but yeah, that's my advice. You gotta, because I've had these experiences with me and, you know, like me fucking up games, invading over and over again. I had to really break it down. And you know, what I came to, the realization, it's like, okay, I'm missing some aspects of information. I need to accept that I actually need to keep practicing these situations over and over
what's
again.
The mistake?
He didn't get into the mistake is just like counter jungle, like missing, like let's say the enemy jungler shows on the map and he just misses all these counter jungle opportunities constantly.
Because you know, my advice when it comes to that sort of thing, right, is people think they understand something when they don't. Like it could be many reasons. This is just one of them.
Yep.
He might actually not know specifically, like because when you weigh up a decision, right? Let's just take a counter jungling opportunity. There is so many ways to break that down. It's like, okay, is his mind being preoccupied by something else? Does he just not have enough champ mastery on his champ right now that he can think about that? Where is his attention focused otherwise? Is he not like a lot of the time in league, a decision is made up a lot by the thoughts up until that point.
That's correct. Yes.
Right. So like
anticipation versus reaction.
Yeah, exactly. So like he might be thinking not about the right thing. So when you're in the game, you're thinking about like all these things such that when the jungler doesn't show or shows somewhere, boom, 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 you're instantly executing. But so what I would do, I would question, what is he thinking 2 minutes before this play? Like what's occupying his mind even when the missed opportunity happens? Like get granular, I feel like. Get granular. It could be a mindset issue. He's too rigid. He's not free flow. You know, just try shit and get specific and really question yourself, do you really understand it? Do you really, really understand it? If he's making the same mistake over and over again, oftentimes... And chances are he probably doesn't. Like he probably doesn't, or you're not getting granular enough about. He's not getting granular enough about what his mind is being occupied with. Those are
great questions.
Yeah,
I think that's something that I should talk with him. I made the assumption that because we've gone over so many times, he understands it.
Yeah,
but obviously I haven't.
Because sometimes Nathan, like we think. Like I'm guilty of this myself a lot. We think we do a good job of explaining something, and it's so simple in our mind, but people are nervous to ask basic questions.
They are. It's true. That is a really good point.
Like he might be nervous to ask the dumb question, like why would you be thinking like this? Like you get some clients that are just really curious and inquisitive, and they don't give a shit how dumb the questions are. Like
those are the best clients.
They're the best clients.
Yeah. That's he's not one of those.
But he might not be. He might be too nervous, or just doesn't know how to ask good quality questions, or I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's stemming from that though.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's the route I would take probably. Yep. It's a tough situation.
It is tough
because especially the longer that whole process goes on, where it gets dangerous, right?
It does.
It gets dangerous because you're there. You're like that becomes your identity. I'm the player that just can't learn, or I'm the player that just makes the same mistake over and over again. Like it gets ground down to like an identity level.
That's right.
And that's where you just fucked.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know what you do there.
That's a deep hole.
That's a deep hole.
Dig out.
Yeah, that's when you really got to take a break from the game, honestly, and then come back through a new lens, even through a new champ. You got to like really like shift your mindset fully. Those are tough. I try not to get into those situations with clients though.
Yeah. I think we could be heading there, so we got to try and steer with steer clear. Yeah.
So,
all right. Next
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Woo, there's a big sign on the screen right now.
If you have not seen the new Top Gun movie, please stop now or skip to the mailbag.
Unless you don't care about spoilers.
Spoilers.
Like me, I don't care about spoilers.
Okay. So, Nathan, we recently both watched the new Top Gun movie.
Top Gun Maverick. The first one came out something like 30 years ago or something. Tom Cruise.
Yep. And the new one's a banger. Really, really awesome. And I begged you to watch it.
Yep.
And because I think it has a lot of relevance to League and coaching and improving at the game. There's one scene in particular that I just loved and it got me excited. Was the scene where they were walking through this mission that was basically impossible, right? They had to go through the canyon, fly at a really low altitude.
Everything has to be perfect.
There's no room for error. Because if you go too high, you're going to get like shot down by the guns. And then you got to like go up this really steep incline and then down and hit the missile shot. This is crazy mission. And then you got to do a dogfight at the end, right? So basically, all the people that are like trying to like, who might be on the mission, they're like demoralized. They're like, well, we don't even know if it's possible. And then Maverick, out of nowhere, he just like does it. Like he just no talk,
just action.
Just action.
Yeah.
Like demonstrates that it's doable. And I feel like this is I resonate with this in many ways where it's like the importance of a high elo coach. A coach or a teacher that walks the walk.
That's right.
Like is high elo themselves and can execute this.
It's the best way to teach and to
it doesn't mean it's impossible to teach you if you're not the best, right. But it helps a fuck ton.
Because you just have so much respect.
Deny that. You cannot deny that. Yeah, you can argue to the world that to the end of the earth saying, okay, you don't need to be challenger to be a coach. I agree. I totally agree. But it's a hell of a lot better if you're challenger. Right? It's a hell of a lot better.
If you can play the game, verse like you're coaching and obliterate someone, then they're going to, of course, they're going to be
the respect that coach got or Maverick got in that situation, people are going to listen to him no matter what.
Yeah, Maverick, everyone would die. The mission would fail if he was not able to demonstrate that.
That's right.
End of story.
End of story. Through demonstration, he was able to lead. He got respect through doing. And I think that just inspired me a lot. Came out really excited. I'm like, fuck, I got to really make sure I'm walking the walk. I got to get high elo. I got to get shit done here because if I can't do it and if I'm not doing it, I can't expect anyone else to do that. If I'm not using my lol slates, if I'm not, I can't teach it if I'm not doing it. That's the sort of coach or mentor I aspire to be, or we aspire to be.
Same here, absolutely.
And I think that I love that. I love that scene so much. I got so excited. I bet you would have loved that, right?
I was thinking about my league journey straight up. I think about me struggling as the dome player and all the work that I still have to do as well.
Me too.
I just wanted to just walk out of the mood and just start playing. I just could play a vlog, but it was too late at night, so I couldn't. I think I watched it I left it got there at like 1 a.m. or something. So
you were doing a late session?
Yeah, it was like the 10 o'clock or something.
Okay. Oh, god damn, that was good. And I love like the energy when like all the egos. I love that. The guy, there was like one guy doubting the mission or whatever, and the other guy turns around saying you're just not quick enough and stuff like that. I just love those dynamics. It's such like an alpha male like environment. Like it's something I miss a lot in League. Like there's that physicality aspect, like you're in there and you're just face to face. Like that's one thing I really miss about League. Like when you go to land, it's banter, there's talk. Yeah. Like I miss that,
you get to see them tomorrow's after you beat someone.
Yeah, like I
them having that team argument at that fight they should have played against you or something.
Like there's an element of like LAN events that like league LAN events.
Yeah.
There's an element there is just high energy, high testosterone, adrenaline. It's like there's no hiding behind a screen anymore. You know, this guy is here. Like you can see that dude over on the other side of the room.
You can see his body language. You can see how confident he is.
And after you can like shake the hand and shit sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. Like
cool.
I really like that. And it just got me thinking, I wish we could do more real life events. And in Melbourne, like me and you, like going to like, and Charlie going to like LAN events in Melbourne. How cool would that be, you know?
That's so cool.
It gets me excited.
It does.
Is there anything else that jumps out of the movie?
Yeah, so I loved how there was just the standard that the original director or whatever his name was, he said it's like you got to do this by 3 minutes or 4 minutes, whatever. And then Maverick said, no, we got to do this by, it was like 2 minutes and he went to like 1 minute 30 seconds. And, you know, showing again that's possible. It's just sort of like the standard we set for ourselves is the message I got it, is just sometimes we set the standards so low, you know, it's like, fucking let's go. Like, you know, let's push ourselves harder. It is possible. Like let's even, you know, as I said that people in the mission thought it was impossible, just having that mindset of like, just like, oh, it's just like charisma. It's like, let's go guys. Let's attack it. Let's figure out if this is, you can do this better, basically.
Yeah,
it's just, I think it's a really important mindset. And I think that's what people in terms of ranked goals and stuff. And I mean, it's, you know, it's funny because then it's counterintuitive too, because sometimes we say, you know, it's like, well, you got to take one step of the journey at a time. You know, you can't just be gold and be like, I'm going to be challenger. But I guess that's different in those situations because those people are capable of doing that.
Well, in this situation, Maverick, he's like a craftsman. Like he like purposely didn't promote. Right, he purposely didn't promote in the army because he wanted to like fly planes.
Still fly, yeah.
Right, because if you promote, you're more like a manager or a squadron or like a squadron leader or whatever.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be like he didn't want to be a desk jockey. He wanted to like fly planes, you know. So he committed to his craft and he executed and he put in the work. Like he was all action, no talk, you know. I love that as well. Like he pursued his craft and he just put in the years and the years and the years.
Even for like less pay.
And
people,
sort of and people for less pay. And people like put him down, like you're still a captain or whatever. Like people were like mocking him, but he's like, didn't want to talk about it. You know?
Stayed true to
who he was. Yeah. And that also really, it kind of reminded me of like what we're doing here with the podcast and everything as well. Like staying true to the Soul 2 community, the BBC, the MLA, and just working on our craft and having, you know, we would
chasing the big numbers.
We could go into esports or be big streamers or whatever it might be and have a, you know, bigger audience, but you know, we might not be as satisfied and it's not what we want to do.
We loved when the boring, sexy things that, you know, people don't want to listen.
Yeah.
Saying the hard truths that people don't want to listen to.
Shitty little podcast.
That's right.
A few thousand people watching.
That's right.
You know, same thing.
The last thing, obviously the really famous quote, even from the first movie, is, you know, the feel, don't think.
Yes, the feeling. Yeah.
So like I don't really like, I just this is the way, you know, for me, especially for League of Legends, like you know, we talked about, you know, being less of a being more of an intuitive player, not thinking, and that's something that held me back. Like I after the movie, I reflected a bit more on that statement, that quote, just for me and my journey personally. It's like, well, I sort of like I just went through a lot of shit and I memorized like all certain situations of the game. Like I really have, you guess you could say that's but that wasn't intuitive. Like I had to like learn it. Does that make sense? Like I've had to think to learn these situations. It's not like a feel aspect.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's so complicated because I don't think we get into the weeds in this one, but I think when I hear that sentence, kind of feel, don't think, is that when we are actually executing, when we're in the shit.
It's not about the preparation.
It's not about the preparation.
Okay, yeah, that
it's
makes
like
sense
when
then.
we are here and you're going to that skirmish, you're going to that dogfight, you don't have time to think.
It's like you and the Ari charms, right? Or do you ever think the Ari charms?
I can't think. Yeah, I'm overthinking.
Yeah.
When I'm there and I'm feeling and I'm in the moment, I'm present and I'm just executing. When I'm playing my best, I'm feeling.
Okay, that's actually such a good point. That's the key differentiation. It's when you get to the execution phase, you've got to just, your preparation is your preparation. You're capable of whatever you're feeling, but you got to feel and not think.
Yeah, you think before and you think after.
Because I was viewing the execution of those last 2 years, me being stuck in Diamond, going down to Diamond 3, being Master. But that actually, in my mind, is actually the preparation that will allow me to not think in that situation.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just didn't view that as preparation.
Yeah, league is just too.
That's the crazy thing about league. It's like you're trying to execute, perform, and prepare at the same time, isn't it?
Well, I just feel it as like there's moments in the game where we got to think, and there's moments we got to feel. And I do think that at the highest level, once you've done a lot of thinking, most of your decisions are feel. For example, like if you're popped into a game state and you're just playing, and you would probably feel out what you need to do before you can think about it. Like, sure, you could press tab and really think about it, but a lot of your instincts and a lot of your urges to make particular plays, and a lot of them will be intuitive, I feel like, especially if you played the game for a long time.
And a champion for a long time. It's true. Yeah.
Like you kind of know that you'll have like an instinct that tells you, I just shouldn't go to this gank. Like you might not even, you'll actually know it's a bad gank before you can articulate why it's a bad gank.
That's correct, yes. That's my best games for sure.
So like
or like the fight, or you need to recall and you know how to win the game.
Yeah, you're overstaying. You don't even know why. It's just like, I know I'm overstaying.
You don't even think about it.
It's just like insta-base. Like it's just an instinct.
Yeah.
So I feel like League is a lot of that.
Yeah, preparation is absolutely key. Preparation is so goddamn important.
Mailbag?
All right. Away we go. Welcome back for Nathan's Mailbag. Jingle, jingle, jingle song. All right, first question here. All right, Curtis. I'm gonna read this and you're like, Nathan, why did you choose this question?
Okay.
We've answered this a million times. All right, here we go. But I'm gonna I have a specific an answer to this one. All right. High Elo. How to deal with dodging and champ select. Hi, Curtis and Nathan. Been enjoying the podcast since you started. So this is from Sorest. I'm around 500 LP on EUS and have a question about dodging in relation to 3 blocks. The game starts in Champ Select, and scouting teammates is a tool that can be used to increase your chances of winning, whether you like it or not. I'm trying to only dodge when there are very clear red flags. The question is, how do you approach dodging? For example, if you've already dodged a rough lobby and you enter another one within the same block, do you just take the -10 and cancel the block, or you're just playing it through? Quite a few of my review notes recently were just me realizing I should have dodged. I think a lot of 30% losses can be predicted in Champ Select. All right, this is. I'm going to go on a different take. I'm not even actually going to really respond to Soros's question. High Elo players, okay? Let's say when you start getting to 500 LP and stuff like that, right? You're literally on the top 0.01. Like, you're so high up. Like, it's so difficult to start finding look at the 1% of the 1% improvements, right? Like, that is so difficult to do. I mean, you're essentially approaching professional player level type gameplay, right? Like, that's what you would need to get to. So why dodging is such a hugely important question is because players, especially high elo players, they, just in general, just from again, I'm not saying this is not just Soros in general, but this is just what I've observed. Why people, they're obsessed with dodging and blaming teammates is because it's the last thing to blame, or like the last thing.
Right.
I know what you mean.
So you're
because
saying
you can't find, it's so difficult. You would have to really, really figure it out. It's so hard to figure out how to get to the next level that you're just going to default to laziest things. Say, I could win more games by just learning how to dodge.
Right. So you're saying that like a lot of people not him, but just in general.
Yes.
Rather than getting into the details and really trying to figure out that one little thing they could take away from the game is, they would rather just blame it on the draft or
because
the game.
There's nothing else. Right. It's the last phase.
It's the last phase, right, yeah.
And that's why that question is so asked, especially, again, we've had that email so many times from high elo people, because obviously I think a lot of people get the message we're saying, like, dodging in lower elos and stuff like that, like, really don't focus on it. Yeah, maybe you'll get some losses, whatever. But, high elo, you've talked about you have a strategy for your dodging and you think it's important, especially for champs and stuff like that. Because especially since our queue times are so long, I'm more on the end of like, I can dodge sometimes, but you
dodge sometimes as well.
I do, yeah, for sure. I have a criteria, and I think as you should have a criteria.
I think everyone should have their own criteria.
That's right.
I don't think there is a cookie cutter one. I think everyone needs to have their own criteria.
That's right. But at the end of the day, if you think about his journey overall, the reason his not getting to the next level isn't because
It's not draft.
it's not the draft, it's not the
Yeah.
dodging and all that sort of stuff. It's not your teammates. It's crazy. You look at someone like, when Canyon came to EUS last year and got rank 1 in like 2 weeks. Like, people can say it's like, well, I'm not Canyon, but it's possible. The Maverick situation, isn't it?
Right,
Like,
the Maverick
you
situation.
could, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So yeah, it's just this. It's this very easy cop out. It's this very easy mindset for ELO players. Again, I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's very logical. I think that that's a great question. So I think he's trying to get into the details of the dodging process, but this is just an observation that I've had. Curtis, what do you think about this?
Yeah, it's almost as if like it would be an interesting experiment to see what your mind would do if you were to say, I'm forced to climb without dodging. Like what would I be forced to do? What would I have to get better at if I were forced, if maybe dodge wasn't even a thing? It kind of like pushes you to think, okay, there is, surely some things that I could be doing better in these games. And it's that mindset where it's like, okay, I'm going to give you a very practical example of a game that was borderline dodgeable last night that I think that like it would be very convenient for me to blame it on the draft. Okay. I was saying before in the episode about this game I played as REE, right? My bot lane, there was a lot of people off role and first timing, right? We had a jungle main playing GP top. We had a support first timing time support, and a very tiltable, questionable AD carry player. And basically the game proceeded just as you would think it was. Top lane losing 5 plays by themselves in a bad matchup. Bot lane getting annihilated in the 2v2, and me and the Yi kind of doing a really good job mid jungle, right? Now, whether or not that game was even winnable, I don't know. I don't know. But there were some excellent learnings. That's the game where I screwed my lane assignment. Whether or not that game was even winnable or not, did that prevent me from taking away those learnings? No. I missed the charm. I remember there's two significant learnings that game. There was a river skirmish around the dragon where I should never, ever, ever miss my charm on the enemy Viego, but I did. And if I hit it, it would be a different game. The second thing, if I actively swapped the lane assignments with the GP and rotated topside, me and Yi probably could have ran over topside and got the rift and really pushed the pace of that game. Again, was it winnable? I don't know. But there was room, two things that I could have refined, that would have actively changed the game, and I could learn from.
So different.
But the game would be hell of a lot different.
I can't explain how different it would be.
But whether or not, again, the point being is that those are learnings that I can take into every other game, no matter what.
That's right.
Right? It's not like there's nothing I can take. There is generally always one or two little things that are actually quite important to take away, regardless. Did I go to the draft and just enter the review? Did I go into the review and say, oh yeah, that was over at Champ Select? No, I went into the review. I'm like, okay, this was a lane assignment. I should hit this charm. Boom. Great learnings. Did I feel bad about it? No. I knew it was already going to be probably a hard game, That's a perfect example, I think,
I can guarantee if you were to, I think you said as a mid player, if you were to review his games, I bet you he's missing opportunities. I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah. So like Nathan said, I want to reiterate, I think it's important that you have your own drafting criteria. Is that the reason? Is the reason you're not 700, 800 OP because of your dodging criteria? Probably not. Right? 99% it's not, right? So yeah, I think that's the message you're trying to push, right?
That's right. That question is always lingering. It's always a huge topic. You see it on Twitter and stuff like that. It's more, again, it's a logical question, good question, the way he framed it. But the fact that it's front of mind is just showing how much you're not thinking more so about pushing to the next level. I find just, again, I'm just stereotyping High Elo players. Do
you even want to get into your dodging criteria?
No.
Okay.
I really don't want to think about it. I don't care. I don't sit at bed thinking, oh, again, like
how can I optimize my dodging?
I just don't care. I don't put
it's
energy.
Such a small
I don't
thing.
think about it.
It's such a small thing.
Yeah, I piss away maybe 2 hours and stuff. Like maybe that. But like again, like come on, guys, how many hours are you guys pissing away in your days? Not even just playing League, just in general, just in terms of inefficiency. There, I always say that wasted time or something like that in League of Legends is just part of the journey, part of the process. It just is. If you're going to play League and climb, you need to be accepted wasting time. But I don't even view that time as wasting. That from that game, that's not wasted time.
No,
that's good learning.
Wasted time.
All right, next question here is from Terrific from MLA.
Yes, love Terrific.
Title of this email is Champ Mastery in Jungle Irrelevant. Hey, BBC casters. MLA member Terrific here to ask about Jungle from a Sol2 member. Me and my friend who's the Sol2 member have a discussion sometimes about his champ pool because he doesn't have a champ pool. He plays what he wants to play. So he just plays whatever. I'm going to leave his name unnamed in this email, but I'm sure Nathan knows who I'm talking about.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay.
This post is more of a flame/expose as he's truly delusional and only is sabotaging his climb. He plays the game like an addict. In the last 2 weeks, he has over 200 games played. This is incredible as I only have 20 games played in the last 2 weeks. Literally the opposite.
Wait, so he's got 200 games. He's got, how many games is that a day? 16.
16 games a day.
Whoa.
I only play 2 champions currently and moving up to 3 soon, as he plays 14 champions with a minimum of 50 games on each. The numbers are kind of all screwed up on his OPGG as he transferred to another server and back for some questionable reasons. So it doesn't save up his current amount of games on OPGG, but I'm sure it's maybe even more than what I just said now. He does not play in blocks, he does not believe in them, and he also doesn't believe in the champ pool being small for consistent climbing. I know that Nathan has had this discussion with him multiple times. I did too. He's extremely stubborn, and this is how he wants to play and enjoy the game. As for the discussion I recently had with him about champ mastery, he believes that champ mastery is irrelevant in the jungle compared to, let's say, mid lane, because the role does not have that micro-intensive moments that allows him to play more a variety of champs, as the small little champ mastery moments will not affect his gameplay as much as it would on mid lane, for example. I wonder what you guys think about this, and I hope, because he does listen to the BBC, that this might wake him up, as to say, to do something about this process. Against the theme of wake up. He does review. He does come more often to reviews in Salty than I do in MLA. Anyways, thanks for reading so far. Hope it's an interesting email for you to discuss.
I just want to touch on one thing before, because I think this is you. You need to really go deep on this one, Nathan.
Okay.
But there's one thing I do want to touch on here.
Yeah.
The mechanical and micro aspects of champion mastery is very, very minimal. Getting the mechanics down pat of a champion isn't the hard bit about a champion at all. No matter how mechanically demanding the champion is, right? I feel as though if you're putting in, say, 60, 50-ish games on a champion, you're basically going to have the mechanic aspect of the champion down pat pretty easily. You know, if you're a relatively solid league player, like 50 games, tops, that's even for a mechanically demanding champion. Most champions in the game, we're not playing Dota. Like, League isn't like, we don't have a lot of wow mechanically oriented champions. Like, even the more mechanically, like, people think like champs like Akali and stuff are mechanically oriented. They're not. The difference between people with champ mastery and a limited champ mastery is the quality of the decision making, period. And the amount of information that they can process, period. It's very, very unlikely, and it's a small component, micro. That's the one thing I do want to just explain quickly before you kind of dive in here.
Okay. So I'll get on to the champ mastery stuff and about, is jungle more of a role where you don't really, champ mastery is not as important. So yeah, I've had many conversations with him, and I've literally straight up had conversations saying, if you do this, you're never going to get to very high elo.
What's his rank right now?
He hovers around diamond masteries. I think he's peaked at like 200, 300 LP, but he's dropped all the way down to diamond. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I said, you're never gonna be able to get challenger, right? And I've said, you can use that as motivation to prove me wrong, playing 15 champs and playing 200 games a week. It's so funny when I say that. Like, 200 games a week. It's like,
was it 200 games every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, 100 games a week. Yeah, and he said, he said we've had a very logical discussion. He said, "Yep, like that's the way I want to do it," because he has lots of free time. I don't know what his life situation is.
Yeah,
I think he's well off or something. He travels a lot or something. I don't even know.
Okay,
I got no idea. He's a very mysterious guy. Yeah, so he has a lot of time in his day, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, he can afford to play 16 games a day. Yeah, and he said, like, I just get bored of a champion playing it too much.
Okay.
That's his thing and stuff like that. So I'm not, again, when I think about these players in Diamond and stuff like that, I feel like they're always like, if you play the game that much, how could Challenger not be a goal for you?
Well, he doesn't want Challenger.
Well, I think he thinks he can get it doing his method.
Wait,
Maybe
so he
deep
said
down.
outright that he wants Challenger?
No, he said outright no that he's happy to be Diamond and
So
stuff
he's
like
happy
that.
to be Diamond
But
Master,
I think that
playing
he's
16
lying
games
to
a-
himself. Like,
Right,
you've got to
right.
be. Like, there's no way you're this involved in the league community. There's no way you wouldn't want to get to Challenger. You know what I mean? Playing,
Right.
investing this much time in the game. Maybe not. Maybe he just loves the game so much.
Okay.
That, you know, he's like, and he just loves playing lots of different champs. That could be a case, but I'm just saying, just from experience, anyone who's investing this amount of time, they really want to
And
get to
joining a
High Elo.
coaching program.
And joining a coaching program. He's very involved in the community as well, okay?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. I feel like he could be lying to himself here. But again, maybe I think he actually just thinks he can generally get it because he wants to follow his own method, right?
Okay.
The next thing here, talking about, let's answer the question about is jungle a different role compared to other roles in terms of champ mastery, you know, fundamentals? Because it's more about, I mean, you said all decision making. It's like he could easily latch onto that and say, well, decision making as a jungler. But yeah, I mean, the reality is, like, if I'm just going to use personal anecdote with my Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is a very easy champion. You could pick up the champion in 50 games and know mechanically how to play, get used to the whole tremor sense and stuff like that. Do you know how to win a game in a certain game state when you've got X champion, let's say you've got a Xerath on your team? And what does Rek'Sai want to do? He wants to go in and, like, you know, get a pick, but you got like a Xerath and let's say you got a Karma as your bot lane. That's not how they want to play. And you've lost many painful experiences to that thing, and you just know how to play that game. That's just one example, right? You don't learn these things unless you pursue champ mastery. You know, we talk about the way you use the Ori ball. You know, again, it's like these next level to champions that has never ever experienced, right? Oh fuck, I just said his name. You're gonna have to cut that out, okay? Edit. You have to bleep my thing as well, so you don't use the thing. Anyways, so God, I'm
Creating
just
more
throwing off
work
now.
here for editor.
That's right. Yeah, he's never experienced
Right.
this.
I want to jump
okay?
in here.
Okay,
Just
jump
really
in.
quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna use a story from someone in the MLA that hopefully inspires this guy. Kari. Kari is an MLA member, and he went down. So basically, this is actually basically how the story went. I told him at the start, dude, you gotta all in on the champ that you like to play, and you gotta just pursue champ mastery. You gotta go down this route no matter what, right? He listened to me. He actually developed a lot of champ mastery with Vex, right? Then what happened is that Vex got nerfed. The durability patch came out, right? And he's like, I can't do it anymore. I just, Vex just feels really bad. I don't want to play Vex anymore, right? I said, you got to be careful. You're going to drop Vex. It's your favorite champ. It's your best champ. You're going to suffer the consequences. He's like, yeah, trust me, don't worry. He then goes on to play these other champs that he didn't really like. Then what happened, right? He finally, in a fuck around way, realized, Curtis, I know finally what you were talking about. There's a feeling I got and I had when I had Vex where I knew how to win the game.
Win the game, correct.
And it is a feeling. I know what I need to do at every single point in time. No matter how hard the game is, I know what my role is and what to do to maximize my impact in that game specifically. He says there's a feeling of control that I have that I've never been able to replicate on any other champion. And it wasn't until he went to another champ, feel like it wasn't there, and he come back, he's like, this is what I'm missing. He wasn't able to make that connection. So for him, he needs to really, like, just, even if he doesn't believe in what the mantra of, like, champ mastery, do it, like, all in on a very small champ pool, just as an experiment. Let's just say it's like, do it out of spite. It's like, I'm going to prove these guys wrong. I'm going to prove Nathan and Curtis wrong. Even do it out of spite. Develop that champion mastery, get a feel for how to really, really win games with, like, true champs. Then, you can jerk off in your 20 other champions if you want to do that. I guarantee you will feel a hell of a lot of difference and you'll want to go back to the champs that you have your champ mastery on. But there's only one way to find out. It's a feeling thing. You got to do it. You can talk about this for hours and hours on end. Until you feel the difference, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
So it's important to differentiate. So that was separate from mid lane fundamentals.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with.
It's about the champion.
It's about how to win because my philosophy on the game, and I think I don't know if you agree, but I view this where if you say you're a Vex, like going back to Kari, you learnt that you're playing Vex, you're a Vex main. You view the game now like you're learning the game through the lens of a Vex player. There is no such thing as learning the game holistically. You always, no matter what, will learn the game in a biased way through the lens of a particular champion. There is no other way. Like, it's like if you're learning to be we're going to use a trade, for example, right? A lot of people who are very good builders in the trade industry, they specialize in one trade and then they kind of learn based off experience and learn holistically. Like my dad is a bricklayer and then he learned kind of like just by doing and seeing and being on the building site over time how things worked. But if he never like pursued a level of mastery within his craft, like you just wouldn't understand certain things. And it's because he was a pragmatic, he was able to put himself in those situations. It's like you can't learn the game holistically without going deep down one rabbit hole and pursuing a craft. It's kind of like, I don't know if this is a thing in like MMOs. I'm assuming it is. It's like you got to kind of do certain things. I'm assuming you got to specialize and like, you can't just put skill points in everything. Like you gotta.
You do no damage.
You do no damage otherwise. You got the only way to advance in the game is if you specialize in like one tree, be like whatever they call it what do they call like the different specific types of a warlock, like a
affliction, destruction, and demonology.
Right, you would have like and you would my resto or something.
Restoration charm. That's a healer.
Look at me, I'm the best resto shaman in Australia, whatever it was, right? You know, you specialize, and that was the only, and then you viewed the game through the lens of a restoration shaman, right? That's what got you good at the game. But if you never did that, you would never have. You wouldn't have a view of the game. Like,
you can't even actually play the game.
You can't actually play the game, right? Yeah. It's the same thing in League. You actually can't.
No.
And the thing is, and what's really fucked him though, what I think, is that because he's actually got somewhat decent results not doing it, it doesn't make sense for him to do it any other way. Because like, well, look at me, I've already got master, I've got to 200 LP.
300. That's exactly why he like laughed at me when I said you'll never be able to get high. He says, well, I've already gotten to 300 LP.
Right. And this is the thing. It's like for him, he's dug himself a deep hole where it's like he's learning the game and playing the game in a very suboptimal way, when in reality he's actually handicapping himself massively. And it just goes to show this guy actually probably has a lot of great instincts and game sense, and maybe even he is naturally talented to a certain extent of the game. Maybe he does have all these traits, but if he actually just honed in, he could be way higher. Maybe he's actually a quarter of the LP that he could have been if he specialized in champions, you know? But that's hard for him. It would be hard for him to realize that.
So the way also the game works as well, because he's going to latch on to whatever Curtis said, irrelevant, because it's mid lane. So jungle, because we talk about a lot in the Soul 2 about jungle in terms of the early game. So and that is, it's true. It is a lot of decision making, you know, but in terms of like good jungle fundamentals, like resets, like lane states, waves, that sort of stuff. But the way that great champion mastery looks like for a jungler, like that's one part of the game. But you're going to get to mid-game fights, and jungling and jungle fundamentals and meta jungler really doesn't matter that much anymore. It's about how to play the fights. Right. That's where champ mastery really shines.
I'm going to use a jungle example.
Yeah.
Watch it from you and one of your plays I remember distinctly.
Okay, here we go.
Right? There's a game I played with Nathan, and this was a while ago, probably 2 months ago, 3 months ago. You were playing Xin Zhao. You remember this one, Nathan?
I do, yes. And you roasted me on this podcast before about it.
And Nathan, in this mid-game fight, we had a front-to-back team fight. We had win con, so I think it was me. I was playing like some hyper carry, a Cassio, and then we had like a Fed 80 carry or something like that. Rather than going in the middle of the fight and splitting the fight and peeling for me and the 80 carry, he proceeded to dive onto the back line kind of with a Maokai or some shit, I can't remember. And we lost the game. And I remember saying after, like, Nathan, even though you fucked up in the early game, we could have still won this game if you actually peeled for me and the Ezreal in this fight. And that is the difference in champ mastery. If he was really good at Xin Zhao and really present in the moment, he would have adapted and been like, okay, I can actually maximize my kits in this game and identify my role to peel rather than dive. And rather than screwing and denying the enemy AD carry from doing damage, allow my AD carry to do
You're playing Cassiopeia at that time?
Cassiopeia.
And again, I wasn't thinking about how to play around you and what you wanted and stuff like that.
Exactly. That's where champ mastery comes in. It's not just about what you want to do. It's how your champ interacts with your teammates' champs.
That's right.
And surely this would also apply to ganks. Like, so I'm sure there's levels of mastery in ganking. Like,
you could pull off a gank that's like really on the cusp. If you have the champ mastery, 100%.
Like I've died to ganks all the time where I never thought it was possible for me to die, but I just get caught off guard.
Yep.
Like I died a rank. I did a review the other day with versing a Rengar jungle. One of my reviews. This Rengar noticed that the wave was like kind of like it got squished, and so such that he could jump onto one of the minions without ultimate, just out of the bush, and like killed him. I'm like, you just die here. Like with this, I didn't think you could die. I would have died here as well.
Yep.
That's just that guy has champ mastery. He noticed that the wave was kind of weird, and you just die. Again, there's champ mastery, things like that. Like there's little things that your champ you can figure out.
There's always a next level going back to the Maverick thing.
This whole email, it pisses me off because it's just disrespect for the game, really. It oozes disrespect for the game.
Whenever you're playing 200 games in 2 weeks, I think you're disrespecting the game straight up.
No matter what.
You're just an addict. You're just an addict. You're just playing the game, pissing away out. He does it all the time.
I mean, because he's not on my program, so I don't really care about roasting him. Like, he is 100% an addict.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot have a good relationship with a game that play many games.
No.
And the fact that he says he's happy doing that, I mean, you don't have, it's hard to know if you haven't done the opposite. Like if he hasn't genuinely given 3 blocks and playing a small champ pool a go, like a genuine go, then how can you say otherwise? Like you've only done the one thing. So what's the matter? What's the point? Like you're arguing into a brick wall. It's like the reason Nathan and I believe in this is not because we've just only done 3 blocks over. We've come from the spamming game.
Correct.
We've come from the other side, right? We didn't just pull this out of our ass. We've done the other thing and realized that it's actually not, it doesn't work too well, and then come to this side, right?
It's way more effective. I want to say as well with the Xin Zhao, I had like 300 games with Xin Zhao probably at that point. Again, I don't even really know how to play the champion still.
Yeah, there's still room for improvement, massive room for improvement.
50 games, 300 games.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's just a disrespect for the game, straight up. And yeah, I totally agree. He will never get challenger the way he's playing. Never.
Yeah. So yeah, just because you're jungle, because the title name was Champ Master in Jungle, relevant. Yeah, like your role, especially as a jungler, it's got nothing to do. Champ Mastery, they're tied together, but they're not at the same time as well.
It's just win con assessment, man. Like this, when I versed those Shaco 1 tricks, like the good ones, like that Gooby and Ose, like
there's so much Champ Mastery there, dude.
Just thinking about it pisses me off. Like they know how to, they don't know, like anyone can gank on Shaco and get a kill.
That's right.
Right? Sure, this guy as well, this dude, he can play Shaco, one of his 17 champs and probably get first blood, right? Right? He could maybe even snowball a win con. He could do that as well. Okay, great. What happens when that game now gets sorted out and now we're in mid game and it's actually kind of even, they've actually got a shutdown. What are you going to do as your Shaco? How are you going to adapt your build? How are you going to play fights? How are you going to use your clone?
I mean, mechanic, especially with that type of champion. Maybe it's a champ specific thing,
dude.
But the way that he uses his clone and
that guy
stuff,
is so good at like Shaco.
It's just another level. It's another level.
It feels like a different champion.
It's a different champion.
It's a different champion. Nathan's Rek'Sai feels like a different champion comparative to other Rek'Sais. Like you just feel it. Like people that have mastery, you just already know heading into the game. Like they're gonna make the game hard no matter what. Like there's just levels.
There's levels to it. All right, next question here is from Sybil.
No way, really?
Sybil, a very short one. Okay. Very short one here. I think Sybil's been doing some coaching of himself. The title of this email is Client Success Indicator. Hey, Nathan and Curtis. Within your time coaching, you've no doubt had clients who climb and make noticeable progress while others struggle as their mental framework and skills plateau. What are the qualities and indicators of the clients that really develop their level of play? So for some context, Sybil was our jungler in Direwolves for about a year. He was your jungler for a time.
Yep. I love Sybil.
We love Sybil.
Best guy.
I have a 4-hour video with him on my YouTube video and an at least lecture.
We've got to get him on the BBC at some point. We'll get him on the BBC.
He loves the game. He loves talking about the game, so you'll love it.
He fits in the BBC universe.
He does. He's a character. All right, Curtis. So really good, simple question.
Yep.
Qualities indicators of clients that are successful in our programs, or that we've seen.
Just the way they just the questions they ask.
Questions they ask.
Straight up.
What you said before, saying that they don't care, they don't give a shit if they're wrong, they look dumb or they're embarrassed or something like that.
And the type of games they bring to review.
Yes.
Straight away.
They're not ego protection games.
No.
They're not like these games that they could probably review themselves and figure out it was just a waste of time anyway, but they...
And they're not afraid to have short reviews. Like sometimes they'll just come in, they have one thing. It's like, Curtis, I just want you to look at this.
Yes.
And it's like they just come in.
They have a question going into it.
They've already reviewed it themselves.
Correct.
And they already know what they want to get out of this.
Yes.
It's like I just want to look at the mid game here. I just felt really like low impact. There's a few questionable decisions. I'd love to get a second opinion.
Yep.
Boom.
That's
boom,
it.
boom, boom, boom,
Quick,
boom.
efficient.
Great questions. Like concise reviews. Curiosity. Not afraid to look dumb.
Respect for champ mastery.
Yes. And I've also found that they're also like more respectful of people around them. Like, I don't know if it's about you, but like they actually, the people that got the most results in my Midland Academy, they have an inbuilt respect for the craft, I think, such that they help other people on their journey a lot. They're very giving. Like I think they want to help others as well because they've done it. And I think they kind of respect that whole process.
I have many members in Salts who are like that as well.
Yeah.
Some of my best clients, they don't have really intention to help, but they just love the game and stuff.
Game.
And they're just
they
like,
just
that's cool. Like, I've had that experience as well. Like, here, I'll help out this person.
Yeah, 100%. So that's about it, really.
Intensity? Is intensity one you've seen for people's results?
Yeah. Intensity, I guess. Process oriented as well.
I was going to say they really, really want it, but I've got clients that really, really want it. That's like a detriment.
They don't have to really want it.
It's like a detriment. No, but you got to do so. I think it's sometimes a good and sometimes maybe there's other factors there.
I'll have to think more about that one. You do got to want it, but you got to manage it in a way.
Manage your expectations.
You got to manage it.
Like, so also accepting your level of play is really important as well.
That's a big one. Accepting where you're at. And fucking off the past. Like, whatever's happened in the past, like, they don't give a shit.
Correct.
It's like they just really just humble in the moment. It's like, okay, I am where I'm at. I will listen and I'm just going to do it, you know? And also they take initiative. Like they won't ask shitty questions. Like when they ask a question, it's a good question. And like, I know that if I get a DM from them, I already know that it's something important. You know, it's something that like they've thought about, and it's not like they've just come to me at the first instinct.
It's like verbal diarrhea. It's just they haven't, you know.
That's right. Like they really thought it through, and I know that if they're going to message me and write something to me, it's like they've really thought it through, and they do need help. Like I think they understand that the best sort of learning they can have is the one that they teach themselves.
Yes, absolutely. That's the only way to do it.
And they take initiative.
Because too many people, they come into our program, they expect us to just tell them the wisdom, and then suddenly it's going to be downloaded, insert, execute perfectly.
Or it's like they will say things like, I've watched a bunch of this guy. I've watched a bunch of this guy playing this like this. What do you think about this guy? Or like I've got the guy Grinder, and he will say like, I've watched a bunch of VODs of this guy, and he plays it like this. Can you take a look at a clip for me of this? And what do you think of this? Like he's like gotten other people's clips. Like he's taken initiative with his learning journey, you know? And I love that.
All right, next question here is from Andrew. Title of this email is Normal Games. Hey guys, I'm a new listener looking to improve my gameplay and mental to get me out of low elo. I got introduced to the game a couple of years ago at the end of season 10 and have played the game with the same group of people since then. I played normal games exclusively for about a year and then started playing ranked about a year ago. I found that I haven't exactly found my gameplay improving, as I found it difficult to balance playing 3 blocks with playing games with my friends. I wanted to ask if you guys think that normal games can be helpful in improving gameplay, or if I should try to find more time in my day to play 3 blocks. Thanks a bunch, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. All right, I have an approach to this question, Curtis. I'm going to get lots of backlash for this. I'm prepared. But this is my experience and this is the reality, okay? So he's got a friendship group that he likes to play the game with. I've found that friendship groups, especially if it sounds like they all were on the same journey together. It sounds like there's no like high elo players. Like they're all like probably around. There's probably people that just play casually. People they probably don't even play ranked, and he wants to go and improve by himself, right? Unfortunately, you're not going. You've got show me your friends, show me your future. I'm not saying that to completely get rid of your friends, but your friends are going to be holding you back. Unfortunately, the way that I view the ranked journey, it's a very personal journey. You sort of need to go off by yourself in the realm and not because at the end of the day, when you're playing normal games, you're still playing the game, and like they're going to be saying some things in comms and stuff like that. You're slowly going to get into their mindset in a way, and you're not going to have that time by yourself to really develop an improvement mindset towards the game, a different approach to the game, because no matter what you say, even if you have this 3-block process and you're following the process, you're going to get sucked into their view of the game and how they want to approach the game. What do you think of this, Curtis?
I agree and disagree.
Shit. Here we go.
I think it ties back to your intention. So I think it's good to, if you want to play with your friends, but it's the way you do it, and like play norms, but don't play your main role. Like have fun with it. It's like a fun experience. It's like playing mini golf with, it's like, say it's like a pro golfer playing mini golf. They're not going to try hard in mini golf and, try to do all this crazy shit. They're just going to have fun with their friends and family. I think it's the same thing in the sense that it's the way you approach your normal games. And as long as you're not coming in with that competitive mindset where it's like you're doing comms and you're playing your main champ and you're doing the whole thing. No, I'm going to probably I'm going to play my secondary role. I'm going to play champs I don't really play before. I'm going to have fun. It's literally going to be a circus and, piss around.
Yeah.
And as long as that's your mentality heading in and it's like a switch off, like zombie mode mentality, that's okay. I see your point though. If you feel as though your friends are really into it and they're really trying and they're saying like, oh, this dog shit, this person, this champ's OP and this champ is so busted.
And Curtis, I'm sorry, but that's just.
But I don't want to jump to conclusions.
Yeah,
here.
I know.
We can't extrapolate off like. There are some people out there that have those friendship groups that take it really seriously and they're like, oh my god, this pike is so boosted, and like they get really like upset in normal games and they rage about Riot and how shit Riot is. Sure, that's going to have a negative impact on you, and that may negatively affect your solo queue climb. And there's probably a reasons that, or some reasons to suggest that that's not the best usage of your time. And you're right. You show me your friends, show me your future, but that's not the case for everyone. Some people do have just casual friends that like just like playing COD Zombies and just kind of want to dick around. And I think that's completely fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just don't play your main champion.
Yeah.
Don't even play your main role, honestly. Just play a whole different role.
Yeah. No, I definitely need to accept that. I am just relentless on the mindset of improving the game. And I had World of Warcraft friends, so you knew some of them that got me onto League and stuff. And when I started wanting to take the game seriously, I never played with them, never talked. I couldn't even get on the same wavelength. Like I had to remove myself. And again, this might just be the Nathan Mott personal thing, but that's what I just view.
But also
I think
remember, you're not the average gamer in the sense you were trying to go pro type thing. Like your mentality when I approach games was like be the best.
That's right. It's different.
The actual best. Like a lot of these players, they're not trying to be the best player in the world. They're not trying to be pro. They want to just get to diamond or they just want to get to master tier or whatever it might be, and that's okay. So I think that you got to be a little bit careful. I'm dragging yourself into this.
I know. I'm going to get flamed in the comments. So I'm already aware of this. It's like people say it's like Nathan. I have improved and I do play with my friends, and I actually know some members in Salto that do that, but it's just not my mindset. It's not how I approach things. That's just my view, and it's could be a detriment to me, and maybe that scares off some people, but that's my view. Again, the interesting thing here, especially, he's said he's done this and for a year and he hasn't got results. So, it's like, what happens if you go off on your own, And that's my, because I always say, if something's not working, try some drastic measures.
I'm sure there's other things going wrong though. Like if he's not getting results, like we'll get to that. I mean, I feel like it's tying back to the dodging the champ select thing. It's like, I'm sure there's other
probably
reasons.
lots. It's possible. Again, it's possible. I have seen people play lots with their friends and still, but
I think let's just summarize it as just be a little bit careful about who you surround yourself with. I think that's the way
your mindset, your approach when you play these normal games. Yes,
that's correct.
Jesus, that's heavy for me, dude. That's heavy. All right, next question here is from Lara. The title of this email is "Please Play Ranked." This is the opposite to the last email, so this is interesting. Hey, Coach and Nathan, I want to share a story of mine, and it's very important because I see it quite a lot. People are playing within the wrong queue. They think that they prevent tilting by not playing ranked, but it makes it even worse. I'm that type of player that cannot play the game for fun. Like that doper gladiator mindset, it always resonated with me, but I was never pushed in playing ranked because I was insecure, combined with the narrative, a girl should not try hard in ranked. So I assume Lara is female, which is an absolute joke. I played around 10,000 normal games from 2009 until 2019. She's been playing longer than we have. Here is the problem. I was versing good opponents. If you look on what is my MMR, I was around top 250 in normal games MMR because I was playing against master or grandmaster / low challenger players most of the time. I also thought that this is my skill level, but everyone plays norms for fun, right? So they're probably only playing on a low platinum level in normals. So it sounds like she thought that normal games was good practice because she was playing versus challenger and grandmaster players because, that's what was in her games. In Season 10, I started playing ranked solo and I got to Platinum 4 instantly. Since then, it's a constant slow grind. I'm currently low Grandmaster, similar to my opponent's ranks in normals in Season 9. But the level of play is way, way higher compared to normal games. It is huge. So please play ranked if you're trying to win and get better. It's even worse if you're playing normal games. If you're playing normal games while really trying to win, assuming you're not a beginner, the toxicity will be worse. Most players are toxic because they are not happy with their level of play or with their teammates. The level of play of normal games is lower compared to ranked. It will actually increase your toxicity. Yes, there is a problem with the LP, but I guess dying have to ignore the little number that shows how much LP you have lost. TLDR, I've learned so much over the last 2.5 years of ranked, not only about League, but also about myself. I'm more confident. I'm not saying that I'm very good, but it works. If you're serious about the game, play ranked. If you want to play for fun, play normals. And if you're happy with your level of play because you won't get better here and want a more competitive environment, play Clash or other tournaments. But please choose the fitting queue and don't be scared by this minus 15 LP screen.
So she's low GM now?
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, I'm currently low Grandmaster.
Yeah, I find normal games so toxic, by the way. I remember last normal game I played a game with my girlfriend and I was getting flamed like just by bit, first things first I says, are you the real Coach Curtis? and then that would happen and then I would get flamed. I'm not playing like a random, because I didn't want to shit stomp in normal games. So I'm just dicking around playing random supports that I'd never play, right? And then I was like playing a Lulu support game and then I played a random stuff. And I'm like chilling and I'm playing with a beginner here. Like, she's a beginner. And I'm getting flamed. Like people saying like, oh, you're so bad. You're like legit, like people saying, well, you really a challenger? Like stuff like that. Like I didn't think I can't remember specifically what they said, but they were saying like, you're really a challenger? I didn't know challenges were this bad, shit like that. And I'm like, do I have to mute all in a normal game? What is this shit? Like, why am I getting flamed? And they don't understand. They automatically assume that a challenger player who's going to play in a normal game, no matter what role they play or anything, they're trying and they're going to try and dominate. That's just like their mentality or something. Or they expect that someone playing for fun casually is going to dominate no matter what. Like the analogy I view it's kind of like Tom Brady playing football, throwing the football with his son. Like he's not trying to dominate his son, right? He's just throwing the football. That's like the same thing. That's all I'm doing. I'm just dicking around here, having a bit of fun, hitting a few minions, cast a few abilities, maybe get a few kills, a few assists. That's it. Yeah. It's a circus. It's a casual. It's called zombies. My mind's in another realm. You're right. People don't understand that. It is. It's a casual game mode. That's what it's for. It's for casuals. That's right. People. Yes. It shouldn't. She's spot on. If you're trying to get better at the game, get the fuck out. What are you doing in normal games? You're playing ranked only. That's why we don't play normal games. It's ranked only.
Yep. And I talked about this one of the past Reddit reacts and you sort of laughed at me. It's like, I view Summoner's Rift as like stepping into my office. Like I'm not. It's like, let's say it's like you go home and you have an office. Like you know, it's like I'm saying it's like if I'm playing normal games, I'm taking my home life into the office. You know what I mean? Like that's why. That's why I'm so
feels
hard
icky
on,
as well.
It feels
not fun.
shocking.
It feels so
really
bad.
does.
I agree.
And that's why I say that's why I was so hard on the. I forgot who it was. Was it Andrew about the normal games with his friends? Like that's it. Just
there's something there.
Like I think ARAMs would be better.
Yeah, ARAMs because it's a
better.
different
It's
map.
a different map and everything. It's a different game, but
it's a different
if
room
you're
in the
doing
house.
Summoner's Rift, it's a different room in the house. That's right. Yes, you're not going into your office having intense calls. You know. It's like, remember that strategy, you know what we did in when we talked about, you know, for dials, we said how bad it was. That's like when we were pro team, we did high intensity scrims on the same computer, the same chair, and then after we'd relax and then play, you know, go on YouTube and watch like
play PUBG.
Yeah, play PUBG and stuff on the same computer.
On the same computer, in the same chair, and the same desk.
Thing.
It's like you're going from extreme intensity to extreme low intensity in the same environment.
Oh, there was a study about this, guys.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You gotta bear with me, guys, because people think I'm crazy, all right? There was a study, I think you guys can look this up, where what a workplace did is what they did was they had different colors in rooms. Like let's say a red room and a green room, right? And they tested like your psychology or like your brain patterns or whatever. I would have to find this somewhere, but I hope someone can find it. And they found that if they kept on going into the same room, like this red room for 6 months, and they did a certain activity, right? If they were to go to a different room and do an activity that they're doing that, they don't do it the same way or don't have the same intention. They think about it differently. That's just with colors.
Well, it's with objects, with things in your environment, right? It's like when they say when you're studying for exams, when you're in school, they said that you should have something on your desk like when you're studying, and then you bring that object on into the exam. So you have it with you. So you're automatically in the same like headspace, because we can pick up on visual cues and like embody the same.
I love that. Yeah. Well, some people, they can't study at home. They have to like go to the library or something. They like have the study in the library.
That's why I had to study at uni. I couldn't study at home. I did all my uni work at uni, at the library and like the areas, and I didn't want to do anything at home because home was playtime, you know? Same thing, yeah.
Exact same thing for Summoner's Rift, guys.
Summoner's Rift, yeah.
Okay? And that's my philosophy. I'm really obsessed with it. I'm hard on it. There you go. That's the end of the podcast.
So Nathan, you know, in the future when you're a billionaire, you're gonna have different rooms color coded.
I'll have a different one. I'll have like my red room,
high intensity solo
queue. The only thing on that is League of Legends, right? And then I'll have another room, my green room. That's what I go to review after, right?
And then the next level, Nathan, is when you're high intensity. You're in the red room,
and
then you have an orange room. Is like you want to get games in, but they're not super high.
Yeah, you like know what
you're in
mood you're in or something,
and then you go to the green room and do the coaching, and then say you're unsure, you want to hype yourself up. I'm gonna go to the red room.
Yes, because that will get me into the mindset. Because when my eyes see the red, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Cool, we're feeling it. So we're happy. Okay.
Yep.
That's it.
So, yeah, I think it's an important message that Lara spread, though. You know, if you're playing norms to get better at the game, you're doing it wrong.
Listen to someone who has experience. She did 10 years of this.
She's going to save you a lot of time.
Guys, you got to listen to people that have experienced this.
Yes.
Come on.
Imagine how good she would be, by the way, if she spent like half of that time in ranked. How much better she would be.
Yep.
Also, you got to remember, this is something I'm really passionate about. You can actually get worse. Like you genuinely get worse. When you're playing with people that are playing quote unquote for fun, you actually are picking up bad habits because people are going to make the suboptimal decision more often than they make the optimal decision. So when you actually go into a real game, a ranked game, they're not going to make those decisions. So you're actually thrown off. You're like, wait, I'm not expecting that. Why would they do that? You know, like people don't give a fuck.
Let's say like Jungle's doing something like random as invades, level 1 invades with bad champs or something like that.
Well, like you won't get punished for showing on the map.
That's right.
You know, as a jungler, things like that. You know, it's never going to happen. Not reliable enough for you to learn anyway.
So Lara, thanks for writing in. Huge fan. Anything else we should say for the podcast, Curtis?
I think that's about it.
All right. Good work, everyone. Let's keep on improving in Ranked Summoner's Rift, and we'll see you next time.